Good evening and welcome to the January 9th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. And by the way, Happy New Year. Superintendent, if you can call roll, please.
Absolutely. Mr. Chalam-Churla.
Here.
Ms. Larrett.
Here.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Here.
Mr. Reed.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you, sir. All right. We will be heading into closed session where we will be discussing student matters, employer-employee relations, conference with legal counsel, conference with real property negotiators, and personnel matters. Before we do adjourn, are there any public comments? All right, so we will recess into closed session. I guess I'm gonna leave this up. call this meeting to order, the January 9th, 2025 Board of Education meeting for the Folsom Cordova Unified School District. We will start off with our land acknowledgement. Board Member Mia.
As the Folsom Cordova Unified School District, we acknowledge that our administrative facilities and schools occupy the unceded territory of the Nishinon and Miwok, the original people of the skies, land, and waters, where we work and learn.
We also recognize the presence and ancestral stewardship of the Nishinon ancestral tribes, the Esto, Notamuse, and Nisin-Pawanan to the north.
And the Miwok ancestral tribes, the Amishumi, Consumni, Holopuni, and Mokolumni to the south along the great Sacramento River system since time immemorial.
We understand that this land upon which our institutions are built was once flourishing with natural resources and sustained by the ancestral knowledge and practices of these indigenous communities.
We acknowledge the injustices of colonialism and attempted genocide that have impacted those communities and recognize the resilience of their descendants who continue to thrive today.
In our daily endeavors of teaching, learning, leadership, and community engagement, we commit to supporting, respecting, and honoring their culture, tradition, and lifeways.
we pledge to work together for evolving the vision of the Miwok and Nishinon, especially all future generations.
All right, thank you, Board. A broadcast statement and recording is being made at the direction of the board, and the broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. Tonight's meeting is being live streamed on the district's YouTube channel. The recording will be cablecast as replays on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast and DirecTV UVerse cable systems. The recording will also be closed captioned and video streamed at Metro 14 Live, saccounty.gov. The Folsom Cordova Unified School District Board Policy 1313 promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among employees, parents, and the public. We will treat staff, parents, and members of the public with respect and ask the same in return. If any member of the public uses obscenities or communicates in a demeaning, loud, insulting, and/or demeaning manner, the board will calmly and politely admonish the person to communicate civilly. Public comments during board meetings are an important component of public engagement and transparency. Members of the public will not be permitted to yield their speaking time to another member of the public. All written communication comments submitted by 3 p.m. today to the board have been read per the Brown Act. The board is not allowed to enter into a two-way discussion on any matter not on the agenda. Superintendent, if you can call.
I just wonder, President, would you like to do the pledge?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I totally read through that, but you guys got that, right? Mr. Merrill, would you be so kind to lead us in the pledge?
Please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And being that that statement was read before the pledge, I apologize. So Superintendent, if you can call roll, please.
Yes, sir. Miss George.
Here.
Mr. Merrill.
Here.
Mr. Charlam-Churla.
Here.
Miss Larrett.
Here.
Miss Lofthouse.
Here.
Mr. Reed.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
All are present.
All right. We are reporting out of closed session. Thank you, sir.
Nothing to report.
Adoption of agenda,
I'll move.
moved by Vice President Lofthouse,
I'll second.
second by Board Member Charlam-Churla. Superintendent?
Miss George.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Charlam-Churla.
Aye.
Miss Larrett.
Aye.
Miss Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. We'll go on to item number 7, agenda consent. I did have an item to pull, even though the superintendent did explain to me, I still like to pull it. It's item F. So if we can get a motion on the others and then look at item F.
I'll move.
I'll second except F.
Thank you, sir. Moved by Board Clerk Laird and second by Board Member Charlam-Chella. Superintendent?
Ms. George?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Charlam-Churla?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And point of order and clarification, was that to adopt all consent items with the exception of item F
exception
or
of
just
item
pulling
F.
F? Okay,
Yes, correct.
thank you.
So then we can look at item F. And this is just a silly question, but I have to ask. What color is that turf going to be?
Well, sir, in the rationale, it says it's going to be blue, but Matt Washburn's going to come up
Yeah,
and
I
chat
just
about
want to
it.
make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had an extensive meeting with staff, community. We invited all the coaches. We had players, everybody there. We went through all the turf types, infill products. We discussed the benefits of all the different types of turfs and infill and discussed color. And it was pretty overwhelming that they wanted to keep the blue turf, especially football, soccer, and lacrosse and others. They were okay with either, but it was staff, coaches of football, they really wanted to keep the blue. We explained to the administration that it was the standard to have a green. It was their standard color. We explained the reasons why, and they have indicated they would fund the additional cost to go to a blue turf.
And the funding would come from?
Site funds, whether it's boosters or site funds or whatever. I'm assuming boosters, but I don't know.
I just want to make sure. I know it's on there, but stranger things have happened. So, yeah, I'm good with it. I just want to make sure it was there.
Actually, I have a question about this one too.
Sure.
What was the heat difference between green to blue?
There has been studies that show that there is a various heat difference between a darker color, like a blue, and a red, certain colors. It depends, there's different readings, but it could vary anywhere from 5 to 20 degrees difference, depending on, certain areas. It depends on infill products and things like that. But there is a difference in heat that has shown some studies, but, it's.
Did they feel like with the blue that we were, in the materials that we're getting, that was a negligible difference?
Yes, I don't think that the infill, I don't think that anything mattered but blue. I mean, not mattered, but it was a deciding factor. They're used to having the sand rubber combination mix. They're used to the infill product. They're used to blue. They've had it for a long time. They know the ins and outs of it. So they've had it tested because they have to, has to be read before CIF requires a certain temperature reading before the games. And none of them exceeded it last year when it was hot for any games. So they feel comfortable with that color, and that's something they wanted. They were very passionate about.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
I don't have a question, but just want to give a comment. It's very pleasing to see the self-generated revenue to buy that turf from the cell tower leasing. That's awesome. Thank you. It's not coming from the general fund, Thank
Set
you.
that up in the beginning when we were actually the first in the region to go with synthetic turf. So this is actually our third one
Yeah.
putting in, and it was established from the very beginning to have some sort of replacement program in place in order to replace the turfs at
Awesome.
all three schools.
Mr. President, if no one else has it, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, moved by Board Member Charlam-Chella. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice President Lofthouse. Superintendent?
Ms. George?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Charlam-Churla?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Right. Item 8, there are no special presentations from students nor staff. We will go over to item 9, public comment. Let me see if I can get this right here. So Sacramento Literacy Foundation, Anita Kerms. Okay.
Maybe Messiah could go first. I'm slightly nervous.
Not a problem. So would that be, with the science of reading? That's the third one. There is a science of reading resolution. Is that you guys too? Okay. I'm gonna go down to number 4 with, Dr. Shauna Pitt. Welcome back. We missed you.
Good. Thanks for having me this evening. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Swanson, staff. My name is Shauna Pitt. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services at Sacramento County Office of Education. I'm here this evening to share a brief overview of the Sacramento County Reads Initiative, which is a critical effort to address literacy challenges and ensure every student in our county has the opportunity to become a proficient reader. We know literacy is a cornerstone for success, and poor reading skills are linked to higher unemployment rates, increased incarceration, and poor health outcomes. Alarmingly, our recent data shows that over 56% of Sacramento County students are not reading at grade level. Even more concerning are the disparities among student groups, where only 22% of foster youth, 20% of students experiencing homelessness, 25% of African American students, and 11% of English learners, and 16% of students with disabilities are meeting the state standards in English language arts. The Sacramento County Reads and Literacy Initiative aims to change these outcomes. It emphasizes evidence-based reading instruction, early identification of struggling readers through universal screening, and tailored support for those who need it the most. But this initiative isn't just about schools. It's about families, educators, community partners, all working together. First, we center families and caregivers, recognizing their crucial role in developing strong readers by fostering a love for books, encouraging daily reading, and staying engaged in their child's progress. Second, we commit to quality teaching and learning, promoting evidence-based reading instruction, ongoing professional development for educators, and culturally diverse literacy resources to ensure every student feels represented and supported. Finally, we prioritize community partnerships, collaborating with local organizations to increase access to diverse books and build a culture of reading that extends beyond the classroom. Through Sacramento County Reads, we're laying the foundation for a future where every child has the literacy skills that they need to thrive in school, participate fully in our democracy, and lead fulfilling lives. And thank you for your time and your support of this vital initiative.
Thank you. All right. I'm gonna go up instead of starting from the top. So April.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us here and letting us talk. I'm April Javist, and I am a Lancer from 1979. I'm also the executive director of the Sacramento Literacy Foundation. And the Sacramento Literacy Foundation is the convener of the Sacramento Literacy Coalition, and today we're here representing both the foundation and the coalition. The foundation's mission is to help all kids read, and our goals are really centered on advocating for evidence-based instruction rooted in the science of reading research. This is why we're here today. Reading is the #1 skill needed in our information age. If you cannot read, you cannot participate. So we're very motivated by understanding that reading is the top equity skill, and that the reading crisis that we're all in right now in this county and here is solvable. It's solvable. So today we want to bring your attention to SCOE's Science of Reading Resolution. I put together a packet for you. It has reading rates, it has the resolution, it has some information about the science of reading. And what we're asking this board to do is to adopt some version of the resolution in your district, to commit to the evidence-based curriculum that's working. We've provided further information. So right now, only 53% of third graders are at grade level here in the Folsom Cordova district. When you break that down by city, only 33% of third graders in Rancho Cordova are at grade level, while 71% of third graders are at grade level in Folsom. What this points to is the idea that children from families that can't afford interventions are learning to read at a slower rate than families who are from, children who are from families that can't afford interventions. Nonetheless, Folsom still has a 30% gap that needs to be addressed. I know that Superintendent Eric Swanson is very interested in systematically advancing literacy through evidence-based reading instruction. Like, that's already become clear, and he's brand new, which is awesome. It only took the state of Mississippi 3 years from implementation to move their state from 22% to 85%. So Mississippi is who we all should aspire to be like. It's time for leaders across the education arena, school districts, elected officials, educators, really to embrace what the science of reading can offer our students, which is greater equity, greater individual agency, and greater participation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then we will go to Messiah.
Thank you so much, Board President, and thank you for having us, board members. My name is Messiah. I am with the Sacramento Literacy Foundation and also a representative of the Sacramento Literacy Coalition. Just like what my colleague April Javis said, 53% of third graders in Folsom Cordova Unified School District are reading at grade level. That's 53%. And as adults, these struggling readers will grow up to have a hard time in finding a job, securing a home, and casting a vote. If you cannot read, you cannot participate. The Sacramento Literacy Foundation, as a community organization, our mission is to help every child read. We give brand new, culturally relevant books to our most underserved students and advocate for the science of reading, which is a proven teaching method that can help most children learn to read. And that is why we are here tonight. Through our book giveaway program, we have built relationships with schools, teachers, and parents to share tools and information about the science of reading. There's a pamphlet of the 6 pillars that was given to each and every single one of you. It's simple concepts. 1, ask your child about the story you just read. 2, pick one word each week, learn it, and sound it out. 3, ask your child to read to you and listen. While the science of reading may be complicated and may seem complex, almost like rocket science if it's the first time you've ever heard of it, it offers evidence-based approach that helps most children become proficient readers. The literacy crisis is solvable. Tonight, we're asking you to consider adopting all or part of SCOE's Science of Reading resolution and help all kids read. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Messiah. And Anita, are we ready?
I'm not sure, but thank you. Thank you for your patience and juggling that around. It makes more
No
sense.
worries.
Anita Kermis, I'm happily retired financial aid director from Sacramento State. I was in higher education for 40 years as an administrator. As retirement, everybody asks, what are you going to do? I'm very passionate about, I love reading to kids. I have lots of nieces and nephews, no children of my own. But I found the Sacramento Literacy Foundation about 1.5 years ago, and I've helped them pack up books and send to a lot of the schools, TK through 4th grade, I think we do. It's so exciting to see these beautiful colored books that Rigo picks out, put them in a bag, and see the excitement of the children getting those books. I'm still looking for a place where I can, just sit down with a bunch of kids and read them stories. And that has not been easy to do. And I'm not sure why. I think a lot to do with measurements. Recently just sent in an application for adult literacy, and I'm surprised at the numbers or lack thereof for adults in reading. So I think it's important. Before we started, I asked April why the 3rd grade reading level, which I didn't know. She explained to me that from up to 3rd grade, you learn to read. And then from 4th grade beyond, we read to learn. And I think that's really important. So that's going to stick with me. Learn to read and then read to learn. It's so important. It's so exciting to see the children. So I hope that we can beat Mississippi. How about that? Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I knew this was coming, I think at the board dinner, and I think Board Member Reed, you were there, and I know that President Al Brown of SCOE and Dave Gordon had talked about this exciting endeavor that they were going to take action on. If we have board consensus, is there some way that we can work on a resolution to? No, actually, we don't. No. So it's something that we can definitely look into to support this moving forward. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, I thank the speakers. Are there any speakers online? None? All right, perfect. All right, we'll go to item number 10, reports of district organizations, and we'll start off with our SAB.
Hello, everybody. Our first SAB meeting of the year was today at Vista Del Lago High School. It was a good, exciting start to this new semester. We had Vista's student government toured us around their beautiful campus. They showed us I actually went in their drawing classroom. It was pretty cool. We had a great discussion from our superintendent. He came and talked about connectedness, and all the kids wrote down something that makes them feel connected at their school sites. Mr. Maroon came and we talked about the upcoming climate initiative and what are some concrete things we can do on top of this potential policy that we may put in place. And I flipped the script on the kids, and I gave them homework. It felt pretty good to finally give someone homework, but I'm making them make a promotional, like a video or a poster for our upcoming Winter Festival, January 30th at Hagen Park. That'll be SAB's first event of this school year, but not the last. So just keep your ears peeled. I'll be more vocal about it next board meeting. And our next board meeting, or our next SAB meeting, will be February 13th at Mills Middle School. Thank you.
Right. Student board member George, do you have anything?
Ann said it all, yeah.
Perfect. All right. California School Employees Association.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Swanson. CSEA, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Shalom Sherla, YK, as we know him. We had a great first half of the year. We're eager to push through the second half of the year. We have a lot of work to do, a lot to negotiate. Benefits will be a big subject for us for the next few months. And we look forward to talking about that a lot. We have nothing else to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Folsom Cordova Education Association.
Happy New Year all to all. Board, FCUSD administrators, and those are online who are joining us tonight. The theme of last year was communication and collaboration in all aspects. Everybody's been great in trying to improve these two areas. Our commitment to these goals will continue and grow throughout some of the initiatives coming up. In the spirit of that commitment, these past weeks, the district and FCEA have been collaborating on the new evaluation language and are ready to present the first draft to the bargaining team. We are hoping to receive positive input and to get any new insight on this process. Along with our focus on evaluations, we are continuing the discussion on benefits, moving to three-tier system. At this point, we are hearing positive feedback on nonstop from our members. So that helps a lot. Jointly, we created a one-page who to call for medical benefits to make it easier for all to access the correct entity for assistance or clarification of medical benefits. A huge thanks to the Benefits Department and Tracy Suter for doing this. In conclusion, FCA hopes that 2025 will be productive with all of our collective goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Folsom Cordova Leadership Association.
Good evening, Superintendent Swanson, Board President Clark, and members of the board. Good evening. You know, as we embark upon a new year, it is essential to reflect on our continued focus and dedication of excellence. I am honored to stand before you today to acknowledge the hard work from our Folsom Cordova leadership team. Their tireless efforts in reviewing the behavior and academic data have been instrumental in shaping the future of our schools. This is the time of year actually when we start kind of looking at the data and planning for next year. This rigorous review process ensures that we understand our students' needs and can provide a targeted support for them to succeed. Their commitment to data-driving decision-making, their practices, is a testament to their unwavering dedication to our students, their academic and personal growth. In addition to their work with the data, our teams have been diligently analyzing the comprehensive roadmap for success. This roadmap is not just a plan as we know, but it is an actual vision for our schools. It outlines clear goals, strategies, and actions that will guide us in creating an environment where all students thrive. I want to express my deepest gratitude to FCLA for their hard work, passion, and perseverance. Your efforts are making a significant impact in their lives and to our students and their overall success of our students. Have a wonderful evening.
All right, thank you, sir. District English Learner Advisory Committee.
Good evening, Superintendent Swanson, members of the board. Welcome, YK Charlem. Charlotte, it's great to see you. Thank you. And all of the board members, and welcome to my esteemed colleagues as well. We do have a board report from DLAC this evening. We met actually Tuesday of this week, so a happy new year to all of us. So DLAC met on January 7th at 5 o'clock over at Cordova Lane Center. They had a couple of items that they wanted to review and comment on, and those included the dashboard and really taking a deeper dive into the English Learner Progress Indicator. Really wanted to get some of that front-loading information. They were hearing about it at their schools, and we took some moments to really unpack that for them. There is also a new indicator that is the long-term English Learner Indicator, so it's known as the LTEL. And so explaining what that is and having an opportunity for parents and other staff members to ask questions and make comments around what we can do to continue to see progress for those students that have shown some gaps. And also discussion on the upcoming data walk. As you know, that we're walking the data walk season, and really sharing with all of our DLAC members that the sites will have specific data walks at their school that are very much centered on their school data. And there will be opportunity to have a real close look at their school progress. And so there's some dates for that, and those will be presented at the school site council, and ELACs. The schools at DLAC meetings have opportunity to report to us as well. There was a lot of reports that came in from various schools, the high school, the middle school, and elementary schools. And there was a theme that I pulled from there in their DLAC reports, is that they're excited to report the ongoing reclassification of English learners. To date, the schools have a collective 239, and we keep a tally of that and monitor, and that means those are kids that are getting to that level of achievement, and they're really proud when schools work with students and their families on that. I also wanted to report to you that we have 1,690 immigrant students, and that's a comparison to last year of about just under 1,200. So if you quickly do some math there, that's about a 500 immigrant student increase. Some of that is just natural. We've had growth in our district, so that just naturally shows. But this is the largest number of immigrants we've seen in a long time, so it was important to share that with our families. And we are always excited about this time of the year where we're wrapping up some of the Seal of Illiteracy and looking at celebrating those kids later in the springtime. So some of that was shared and how that happens and what the process is. And lastly, we did another push for the needs assessment where we get input from the parents, the students, and staff members on what they see that's going well, where we could improve, and ideas that we hadn't thought about. So that's our report today. And finally, we'll be doing an invite for the February 1st Parent Summit. Looking forward to seeing you all there. Thank you. That's our report.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Cabrera. Appreciate that. You said February 1st. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. I'll be in Southern California. However, I will donate some gift cards for you to raffle off. All right, perfect. All right, we'll go down to item 11, discussion action. Superintendent?
Yes, sir. We'll invite Mr. Sean Martin to the lectern to talk about what we're discussing is the 23-24 annual audit report.
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. So this evening, we're going to just review the annual audit. Traditionally, this item is actually put on consent agenda, nothing really much to discuss. But this year, we did have two what are considered material findings. And so I wanted to make sure to have an opportunity to review those with the board. If we can pull up the little summary document. It is an 80-page document, and so what we do is we do try to generate this little summary for the board, so just give you kind of a quick synopsis of the major areas within the items that were audited for. So what I would speak to is financial statements were presented fairly, which is one of the most critical components, right? The information that we have submitted to the public is accurate, and the auditors agreed with that. Additionally, the supplemental information that we provide, the other details about all the details and activities within the district also was reported appropriately. We did have two areas of what would be considered non-compliance at the state level, and so we're going to talk about that just on the next slide in just a few seconds. Federal compliance, we were in compliance there, and then also we do have a specific audit due to the funding of our First Five program, and that also was in compliance. So really just want to dive in just for a few minutes about the findings that we had, the two findings. And so when there is a material finding, there are normally findings every year just because of the size of the district, the needs. And we see this as a positive thing. This is a resource to us that our auditors are a team member of our team within the district to ensure that we're in compliance and we're doing our due diligence for the public and for the taxpayers. And so when we do have these material findings, which this is the first time since I've been in the district that we've had material findings, we take it very, very seriously. And so we wanted to walk through the specifics on each of those. So the first finding is 2024-001. And the reason for this finding being material is not because of the scope or size, it's because this has occurred for the second year in a row. And this is with regards to attendance taking within our school sites. And so what more or less has happened is on 2 years running, different sites, but a recurring pattern of where there was a situation where attendance was taken and a student was marked as in attendance, but we had documentation that they were actually absent. So in this scenario, what will occur is the students are normally in our attendance system are normally marked as in attendance, and then a teacher has to go in and mark them absent. And in this particular situation, we had documentation from a parent communicating for that student was absent, but we showed on the record file that they were still in attendance, right? And these things can occur. Obviously, there is a lot of attendance taking. We have a lot of classrooms. But what we try to do is have best practices in place. And so a couple of things that we have been doing to try to rectify this since last year's finding, the previous year's finding, was with our attendance clerks, we actually now have monthly meetings as a cohort. So all the attendance clerks come together. Our attendance due process team meets with them and goes over all of the required auditing and steps necessary when it comes to our attendance tracking. Additionally, we are working with our labor partners, our FCA group, and we're going to be creating some additional training and some resources for our teaching staff just to remind them best practices when it comes to taking attendance. Trying to take attendance in the first 5 minutes, making sure that they are. What should happen is once they've completed attendance, if a student is marked absent and then they come in after that, they should already have documentation from the school site saying, or from the office saying that they were cleared, and then that change happens in the attendance clerk's office. And then finally, the third item we're doing is at the district level, we're putting additional resources in on more frequent review of the audit and the attendance records that we receive from the school sites. to make sure that we're in compliance there as well. So we're trying to put some additional layers in. The biggest one is obviously training and support of our teaching staff, because they're the first line of taking those attendance records and making sure that students are marked accurate at the beginning. So that's the first finding that we have. Is there any questions on that? I see David, yes.
Yeah. Mr. Martin, quick question. Couldn't it have been as simple as maybe one parent called the child in sick because they thought the child should stay home, and the child said, no, I have an important test, I need to go to school, and said that to the second parent, and the second parent says, we're going to go to school. And couldn't that be as a simple explanation of why a parent might have called in, the child is going to be sick, but then the student shows up on time in class?
That could happen, yeah. I mean, that's a scenario.
I mean, I can tell you how many times, I couldn't count on both hands, how many times my mom said, you need to stay home from school. I'm like, no, I'm going to school. So, you know, I don't know. I think this sounds like a really innocent mistake.
I think these things do occur. I think the reason why it's considered, again, last year, the first year of the finding, it wasn't a material finding, it wasn't anything. The reason it is this at a higher level is because it was 2 years in a row, which, when we have 32 plus sites that are taking attendance, these things can occur, but we really want to ensure that we are minimizing that, because we don't want to. And the reason why the auditor is reviewing this is obviously attendance is the primary driver of the revenue to the district. And so they want to make sure we're not over-reporting attendance and receiving revenues that don't belong to us. And so that's the intent of the audit process, right? And I don't think the auditors or anybody believes that we were trying to do this maliciously or anything else. But anytime there is an audit and they random sample and they have a finding, they have to report that. There isn't like an exclusion of, and like you see there, it was one student one day out of all the samples that they took within the entire district. So it's very minimal, but again, it's a repeat of finding, and so it's something that we want to take seriously.
Yeah, and just to put it in perspective, we have 22,000 students times 180 days,
Correct.
Is that right? 180?
That's correct.
That's 3,960,000 samples, and it showed up once.
Right. Well, they don't sample all 3 million,
well,
but yes.
I know, but
I appreciate that math.
So I'm not concerned, but
Yes.
thank you.
And it's actually an underrepresented number because secondary schools take roll plenty of times each day, so.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the comments, and our team is very diligent in that, and we continue to support our teams at our school sites. So that's the first finding, and our intent here is that for next year this will be closed and not a recurring issue. So, and that's our goal. And we have a lot of team members working on that. I just want to, the attendance due process team is really expanded in the last few years when it comes to the attendance, and a lot of supports at our school sites, trying to get students in attendance, but also helping the clerks and the teams at the school sites to support all the processes because it's labor intensive. It's a huge undertaking, as you said, 3 million plus. The second item is in regards to our unduplicated pupil percentage, or UPP. And so we've brought this information to the board a couple of times with regards to how our supplemental funding. And so just again, recognizing all the work of our team, Ms. Cabrera's department, all of the other folks that put in place, and we changed our methodology on how we were identifying our unduplicated students. So if you remember, unduplicated students are students that are what we normally traditionally could consider socioeconomically disadvantaged, free and reduced, English language learners, or foster youth. And a few years back, we implemented a significant change to our process where instead of being required for them to complete the entire free and reduced application, we went to a more streamlined process. When we implemented that process, it actually generated a higher level of identification, which we were very excited about. But to do that process change, it took several years. And so last year, we were in a transition phase where we were doing two different methodologies. We started the process by doing it via phone call verifications, but then we also implemented it as part of the registration process. So starting at the I think it was March of last year, we were able to include in our annual registration process the ability for a parent to certify their status by more or less putting in how many people live at their home, and then it would give them an income level and ask them if their income level was above or below that level. Based off of that calculation alone, we are able then to identify students that are considered socioeconomically disadvantaged, and we're able to include them in that calculation, which generates additional revenues to the district. So we were very excited about that process, but we weren't able to implement it till March, but we started the registration process in February. And so what happened there was a gap in time where between February and March that people completed applications without that extra section. When that occurred was what we did as a staff was we had folks contact the school. The schools actually contacted, and also staff, Ms. Capero's department's staff and some other folks contacted the families to try to verify their status, to try to identify as many students as possible to maximize our identification and funding. And what occurred in three situations was there was a discrepancy between the information that we submitted because we believe we engaged with the students, or students had past history of being socioeconomically disadvantaged. And we did have documentation that the parent, through the registration process, marked them as not qualifying socioeconomically disadvantaged. In two of the three scenarios, we know the students qualified, but we did not have any documentation to show that we had spoken to the parents after they had certified through the registration process. So technical piece, the third one definitely was just an error in that particular situation. But the end result of it is there was identification of 3 students through the sampling that did not, due to the documentation we had on file, did not technically qualify as socioeconomically disadvantaged. So that we understand, but the methodology that the state requires is that it is extrapolated, meaning they take the 3 students over the sample size, get a percentage, and then apply that to our entire district. That's where we have a problem, because we don't believe that is an appropriate methodology based off of the reasoning for the discrepancy, and just because the cost of that is over $200,000 is the potential penalty associated with that. And so there is a process to appeal that penalty. And we have already been in contact. I actually spoke to a person who was on the appeal board for the state. He now works for the Sacramento County Office of Ed. And so we had a very good conversation on the process to appeal and the methodology for that. Our auditors also feel that we should appeal. And so they've also provided us quite a bit of information. And so we feel very confident that there will be some opportunity to reduce the penalty associated with it. We will say that, and I'm not looking for bright spots, but I will say that our methodology change that we have implemented, a couple of things. One, for this current year, 24-25, we made it so it's 100% through the registration process. We did not have that gap in time. And so we now are comfortable knowing that we are going to be 100% on with regards to the identification of our students. So that's good. The other piece I will share is as we talked about changing our methodology, we increased our supplemental funding by over $1.5 million. So we do understand that this method was beneficial for our district. And so even with this penalty, we feel like we are in a better place income-wise than we would have been without. And so, but ideally, we will hopefully get this entire penalty waived, or at least significantly reduced. And that's the intention of staff to work through this process. Once we approve the audit, what will end up happening is then it is submitted to the county office and to the state. They will then submit a letter back. Once we get that letter, we have 60 days to appeal. So that's the timeline that we're doing. So we already have everything lined up and ready to go. And we do believe that we can reduce this penalty, hopefully eliminate potentially. So that's kind of where we are on that. I think there was no intention to intentionally miscalculate the information. In fact, the students, as we talked about, that were identified, there were known students in 2 of the 3 situations where we felt like they did qualify under the appropriate previous methodology, and it was just the overlapping of the new methodology that created this situation. So, but we can always do better, and we will continue to work through our processes. So questions on that one?
Any questions?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You might have said it, but I missed it. This is the first time we are experiencing this kind of penalty on
Yes,
this,
yes,
right?
for sure. Yes, and again, I feel that this is a kind of generated based off of our system change.
Yeah.
And as I shared for this current year and going forward, I see no reason why we would ever have this finding ever again. So,
Right, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And state may be seeing this as, a potential threat. That's why they're putting that much percentage of penalties.
Sure.
To streamline, like, when the kids are going to the driver's test, if you are in that one of the 6, you fail, you go back, something like that, put more money on that one. But thank you, though. It's a genuine reason. And I'm an IT guy. I totally understand what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from the board? Okay, I do have one. So
Sure.
we do anticipate getting this letter, and once we receive the letter, 60 days
Correct.
to appeal.
We will then submit an appeal. It goes to the director of the appeals department. They review first, and then they will come back with a response. If we do not agree with the response, then it goes to the appeals board, which is made up of a 3-member panel, and then they come back with a final decision on that.
Okay, and you said we have everything in place to make this appeal.
We are
I'm just
ready to go.
wondering-
If I could submit it today, I would submit it today. So
I'm just wondering the process after we make the appeal and it goes up the proper channels,
Yeah.
how long that take?
I don't
looking
know the
at months,
timelines.
or are we
Yeah,
looking at-
I don't know the frequency. So really, it comes down to the frequency that those boards or panels meet. And so I don't know the timeline. The truth of the matter is during this process, they won't be reducing any of our. Really, what ends up happening is at the end of the day, they will take it from our future allocation. Is how that methodology works. So we would have something in place prior to that occurring. So.
Thank you for being on top of it, and we're ready to go on it. I assume there's no comments from the public. Any online? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I will.
A quick question for Mr. Mark. Would it help that when we approve this, that we add to the motion and the board supports the district staff's procedures?
I can't say it would hurt. I don't think it won't make a difference to the process, if that's the question.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. With that being said, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion.
Second.
Moved by Vice President Loftout, second by Board Member Reed. Superintendent?
Ms. George,
Aye.
Mr. Merrill,
Aye.
Mr. Charlem Churla,
Aye.
Ms. Larrett.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Reed,
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
You. And with that, we'll go into item 12, Superintendent's Report.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Happy New Year to everybody. I want to first thank Van and Mia for hosting me at today's SAB. It's a highlight for me to connect with students, and thank you for Trustee Charlem Churla for making it out as well. We had a really good time, got some information from them, really seeking out student voice around, I would say lots of constituents' voices, but student voice around what it means for them to feel connected to our schools. And so that was part of my reason to be out there as well as to meet them. I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Shauna Pitt from the Sacramento County Office of Education and the members of the Sacramento Literacy Foundation for coming out to talk about the importance of literacy. They mentioned me being, yes, really high priority third grade literacy. It's part of one of our performance targets and in my board goals that we talked about. We have a lot of initiatives that are going to be moving forward. We're really excited about partnering with the City of Rancho Cordova and the Sacramento County Office of Education, and then at some point, community-based organizations around amplifying literacy from birth to when we meet our students at age 3, 4, or 5. Because we know that students living in poverty and coming to our schools are coming to our schools already behind with their vocabularies. Poverty is challenging in that way. And so how are we best able to partner with those entities as well as community-based organizations to support our families living in poverty, to make sure that they have the right amount of materials at home and some simple skills that the Sacramento Literacy Foundation, that parents can do to engage their students around reading. So I really appreciate them being out here. When I see public comment that's really focused on our young people being successful in and out of the classroom, I get really excited. And the last thing I will say is, and I mentioned this today at SAB, we're starting the second half of the year for our seniors down there at the end of the dais and out there in our community. Finish strong, right? There's no such thing as senioritis in FCUSD. All right, so hit the finish line, accelerating. So that's all I have for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Student Board Member Merrill.
Mine is short. I just wanted to thank our SAB advisors, Dr. Jackson, Ms. Holton, and Ms. Ambrosini. They've been such a great help this year, and me and Mia really couldn't run the whole 100 student advisory board without them. So I just want to thank them. That was it. Thank you.
Right, Student Board Member George.
And so when you asked me about SAB, I completely forgot about something. And Mr. Maroon came in and talked to us actually about the environment and the resolution that's getting passed, and then the committee that we're going to be talking about next week. And he did a little presentation on that, and he was just talking about how change really starts like with the schools and the students first, like, and he didn't mean to offend anyone here, but like resolution's just paper really, and we need to be more active at the school sites. And I noticed that like everyone bought water bottles today, so I'm really glad that we like followed through with what YK said at the last meeting. And Folsom High School has had a lot of things going, and the kids like at SAB we're just talking about how like clubs are ramping up, and I think the Rancho schools are having a second club rush. So I think academic decathlon's going, speech and debate's going. I know Hands for Hope is really going. And so yeah, that's all I had to say. It's a great start to 2025.
Right, thank you, ma'am. Board Member Charla.
Awesome.
You
You guys,
think of a shortened version for you. I mean,
Right.
Shalom something. We'll make it work.
we'll make it work. Shalom Charla. But for anybody, please, YK is good. Perfectly fine. I just want to, welcome that as well. Now, first and foremost, Happy New Year. Woo-hoo. It's a new year, 2025. And, a sincere thanks starting from my right, Mr. Eric Swanson, and you and all your team, setting me up on the computers to the badges in 20 minutes. And it's all, thank you, Rishal, and everyone in HR, and I did all the training. Wow, that's quite a bit of training during the holiday season. No, I enjoyed though. I enjoyed those trainings. It's very important, you all put me on track. Now I got to do that cross-country track to win the race, right? So I'm going to do that. Thank you again one more time. And also, your team extended those committee meetings. Now they are on the calendars. Quite a bit of them we were receiving. So hopefully, we'll follow through that one as well. Thank you again. Yep, I attended my first committee meeting. That's an awesome thing. Mia, thank you so much for pointing out one more time, Mr. Maureen. He challenged those 100 kids. Let's do something to save this environment. And he is asking them, come back next time in a tangible way. And Van echoed that one in his comment as well. I agree with Maya. Let's not, shameful about, all these documents and proclamations, they sit on the wall, unless you have the mindset to do. He challenged on that one. I just want to call that one out and appreciate his efforts. And you are awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. He's good. He does his own way, kicking the kids. Think, right? That's an awesome thing as well. Other than that, I may be reaching out to different groups. Please. Whenever I ask, I'm going to make this, Mr. President. If I ask the question, I'm not challenging you, anybody. for that matter. I just want to put that disclaimer here. It is more for me to learn and understand. So please, take that way at any cost, wherever you go. And I sat with the kids while they're eating, and Visra was giving me a free through. YK, probably you can try a lunch to taste. It's important, how the taste of the lunch. But I enjoyed this first visit. Now I know all these four, what you guys have been enjoying all these years. Thank you again, and good night once again. Happy New Year. Great to see all the leaders here.
All right, thank you, sir. Board Member Reed.
Thank you. Just a couple items. Just wanted to report that I visited White Rock Elementary School on December 19th with the superintendent. Got to meet with Principal LaBasse and her team there. The union was present as well, with President Sansenbach. And it was a really a fun meeting, actually, because they were practicing Christmas and holiday songs in the gym, so we were able to sneak in and hear their presentation that they were going to be singing later on in the evening for their parents. So that was fun. We were able to stick our head into a number of the classrooms, as well as hear from Principal LaBasse on items that were of a concern for the school site. So let's see, on January 3rd, I also, on behalf of the board, attended the facilities comprehensive planning meeting. And this group is working on developing a comprehensive plan for all of our school sites. And they kind of went through the strategy that they were going to go and meet and sit down with school sites, either in person or Zoom, entirely based on the preference of the school site, to hear what the needs and the wants are of the school sites as we start to develop what future improvements will look like throughout the district. And then finally, I want to express my sincere thank you to Superintendent Swanson, to Peter Maroon, Matt Washburn, Howard Cadenhead, and the site employees at Folsom High School. It turned out very recently that the San Juan section of the track and field championship, which has been held for many, many years at Davis, was up for grabs. Davis wasn't able to continue sponsoring this very, very large track and field championship. And they came to Folsom High and asked if they could do it. The challenge, though, for the district was the fact that this big event is the weekend before graduation. And obviously, we put on a big graduation at Folsom High every year. So there was a certain level of concern about turnaround time and the like. But the bottom line is all the individuals I mentioned, including the site employees, custodial staff, all basically said, we can do it. We'll make it work. So this is a big coup for our district to be able to host this San Juan section of the track and field championship. So again, when we put our minds to it, we figure out solutions, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you. That's all I have for a report tonight.
All right. Thank you, Board Member Reed. Board Clerk Larrett.
So I attended the facilities meeting as well, and that was very exciting. You get to kind of feel the energy from the team and the excitement from some of the school sites who had already kind of had some of their meetings about some of the potential of, the facilities master plan. So looking forward to that. Yesterday, I attended the community schools committee meeting, and I literally cannot say enough about this team. They are passionate, they are excited about the work that they're doing, and they're seeing significant improvements. I think one of the most exciting things was one of the schools yesterday reported that through the 20-day attendance challenge, they had hit 97% attendance at one of the Rancho Cordova schools. So, that's just such an amazing feat. And it's not just that team, but it's at the individual school sites. When you're a community school, it's not just the team who's running it, it is the teachers, it is the administrators, it is every single member that is on that site that is changing the mindset. And we talked a lot about, you know, parents feeling comfortable and feeling included and some of the initiatives that they were going to do at some of the schools. What they have been up to in the last few months is they did Cuts for Kids, where they provided haircuts for students. And what I was really touched by was they also presented Christmas gifts, and the Christmas gifts were all donated by the people who were volunteering to give the haircuts. So they had set boxes up in their shops and things like that, and community members had donated, and then they brought them to the event to hand out, which I thought was really amazing. They've also had a UC Davis mobile clinic. They passed out food boxes. They presented the State Board of Education. And one thing that we kind of discussed a little bit yesterday was when we went to the CSBA conference, I think Board Member Reed might have been standing there, but there was a couple board members from other districts that were just kind of like hearing about community schools, and they were thinking about bringing them into their districts, and they were like really resistant to community schools, and, you know, for whatever reason, whether it's political reasons or whatever, and, you know, kind of what they were saying about community schools was completely not what our model is. And I was like very proud to say, that's not what our experience has been. These are some of the things that we're seeing as improvements. And I just really feel like in this realm, FCUSD is a strong leader in community schools, and that as we continue to roll this out, we're not just changing, you know, education, we're changing hearts and minds. And I think that we're bringing our parents into these sites. And so I would challenge my fellow board members that anytime that you can promote community schools, when you're with business leaders, as far as like if they're looking to donate, these are great programs that we could definitely always use more funding for. Civic leaders, families, just continue to push that community school mindset, because I think what we've seen, it hasn't been just like small changes, they've been drastic changes. And I think that we're just continuing to move that work forward. And our responsibility as a board is to just continue to promote this out into the communities, because it is a community initiative. Other than that, that's it for me.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Vice President Lofthouse.
Really short tonight, just Happy New Year to everybody, and thank you also to Dr. Pitts and coming with her Sacramento Literacy Foundation. It was wonderful to see her again. It's been a while, and I look forward to having us partner with them.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I will close out by saying Happy New Year and welcome back. I hope that everyone had a restful and relaxing break. On behalf of the California School Board Association, I want to wish this board happy Board Appreciation Month. I guess you guys didn't know that, huh? All right, so appreciate working with you guys, and we have, you know, a lot of work to do this year, but we're going to make it happen on behalf of our students. I'm looking forward to getting out tomorrow to visit at least 4 of our schools. I'm going to make it a point every Friday, if I'm not out of town, to get out to all of our schools. Something that I've done in the past, and it's something I'm going to continue to do. And then last but not least, and it's something very serious, and I hope that you all can keep the communities down in Southern California in prayer. You know, there's, I think, 5 wildfires, and I think 6 popped up today. I'm number 6, I'm not sure. But it's really affecting those folks. And, you know, my heart goes out to, I think it's Palos Verde High School that was affected by the wildfire. So hopefully you all can keep them in your prayers, and hopefully we can get those fires contained. Other than that, I don't have anything else, and we can move forward to advanced planning for our next board meeting. And I have to give the superintendent a hard time, but it's during Dr. King's holiday weekend, but we will be here with bells on for a special board study session. So look forward to seeing everybody there. And for our student board members, obviously, the invitation is extended to you guys as well. And then our next regular board meeting, which is on January 23rd. With that, the 12-month calendar and our suggested future agenda items, if there's anything that we need to cover or revisit.
I would like to maybe propose putting on a future meeting. I don't know what it would look like, but in terms of the district passing a resolution for the literacy.
Absolutely. And we have consensus on that. Awesome. All right. Was there anything else?
One thing that I would mention, and it was already spoken about a little bit, is the team today at SAB related to the environmental impact resolution. We have a date of January 23rd, and Peter Maroon worked with the team and worked with SAB, and I think the students are going to be working on drafting that. So I would ask the board's permission to push that out a little bit until the students are ready to bring the resolution towards the board, if that's okay. So we'll just modify that to be determined, and we'll continue to work. Does that sound right, Van?
Yeah, what should we do, like the next meeting or the second meeting in February? What do we, I want it to be, because I know Addie, the student who was up here originally talking about it, she wanted it to be, or she's already working on it. She's hit the ground running. So I don't want it to be pushed out too much, but I do want to give Peter Maroon and those students time. So when's the first meeting in February? One meeting in February. When's
When's
that
your
meeting?
next SAB meeting? So that way you could bring it back to that and then.
That would be on the 13th, I believe.
13th?
Yeah.
February 13th?
That would be good, because that's when our SAB meeting is, and then another quick double meeting day. Yeah.
On February 13th. That sounds
okay to push it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? All right. There's no need to go back into closed session. So does the board have anything else for the good of the order? If you don't, then we will adjourn.